Hello friend, how are you doing today? My name is Mary and this is Happilyeveresch, and today I want to share my April wrap up with you all. So I ended up finishing 6 books in April, which I'm quite pleased with. I didn't read as much physically as I had hoped to because the physical book I was reading kind of put me in a little bit of a slump, or maybe I should say I just wasn't super stoked to pick it up, so I just chose not to physically read a ton in the beginning of April, avoiding picking that book up, but my reading definitely picked up a little bit at the end of the month, and I ended up kind of fitting some shorter audiobooks in. So 6 books, I'm pleased with it, and let's just go ahead and chat about it, shall we? So I will link a couple of my Friday reads down below, because I did chat about some of these books a little more in depth, a little more fresh feelings. So those will be down below if you want to check them out. I've also been featuring library hauls in my Friday reads, just because I find that I tend to get between 3 and 5 books on my holds every week, but there's never a time when I can really like gather them all up and do like a big library haul, and I love library book hauls. So I think it's kind of fun just to show you like what I'm checking out, mini library book hauls, and I'm going to continue to do that just because I really like to share what I'm interested in, and even if they're books that I don't get to, it's kind of like what I was into in the moment. So yeah, those are down below. I invited you to chat about books, so we should get going. I will be doing this in the order that I read them, and the first book that I finished in April is down here, is The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson. This was my book of the month club pick for February, and this was the book that kind of put me in a little bit of a slump. I wasn't super stoked to pick it up. I didn't super enjoy this one, which is a shame because I do think that the themes were really interesting. But for me, I felt like the execution was lacking. I kind of had issues with the pacing. I didn't super connect to the writing style. I felt the characters were very, I don't know if you'd say underdeveloped, a little disjointed. I had a hard time understanding why they were doing what they were doing. Their actions didn't seem to match up with who the author was writing them to be. And so overall, I read a review that just said that they felt like it was cluttered, and I agree. The plot felt a little cluttered, the writing felt a little cluttered, the characters, like I kind of said. So yeah, it ended up just not being a great read for me, about 2 stars. So this book, kind of the scene is set on Obama's winning election night in 2008. It's a very important event, especially to our main character because she's a young Black woman, and so that's kind of the setting scene. But I would say really this is more about family and family secrets and what families do for each other because they think it's the right thing to do, and how those decisions kind of affect lives. It in ways looks at class and looks at opportunity. So yeah, like I said, some interesting themes, but overall the execution just like didn't nail it for me. So I will be trying to sell this to my local used bookstore. I want to do a video where I go and sell some books and yeah, kind of have a whole used bookstore day. I haven't spent a lot of time in my used bookstore in a while, so I think that would be fun. So this one will go, and hopefully someone else will find it and really enjoy it. Next, we have a middle grade that I really enjoyed, and that is Some Places More Than Others by Renee Watson. I have read Renee Watson's one of her other works, which is written for more towards YA, the YA audience, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed this one as well. Slice of life, coming of age, middle grade novel. Her writing is so atmospheric. We're following our young main character who, for her birthday, all she wants is to go spend time with her father's family in New York, and she ends up getting to go. The city is just so atmospheric, like you really felt like you were there. I really don't have a desire to go to New York City, but Renee Watson took me there, and it, she very much intrigued me to the city. I really enjoyed the themes of kind of overcoming hurt seeking understanding, especially of our family, giving our family members the room to grow and to change and to evolve. I really enjoyed that kind of that exploration in this book. It's not very long. I zoomed through it and I really enjoyed it. Solid 4-star read for me. Next on audio, I finished a memoir, and that's Wait Till Next Year by Doris Kearns Goodwin. I really adored this. I have read another Doris Kearns Goodwin earlier this year, and it was a great read for me. It was Leadership in Turbulent Times, and it looks at 4 presidents and kind of what made them the leaders that they were. This is her memoir, all about her childhood growing up in the suburbs of New York City, and really the importance of the, at the time, Brooklyn Dodgers to her family. I loved this. Doris Kearns Goodwin's writing is just so easy to fall into. She sucks you in, but doesn't overwhelm you. And I really appreciate that, because I think with history memoirs, yeah, you can give too much, but she gives you just enough. Like, she gives you all the information you need to know and kind of leaves the other stuff out, which I as a reader really appreciate. But it's so atmospheric. Like, she pulls you into her story, plops you down, asks you to stay a while, and just wraps you up in her childhood. It made me nostalgic for a time that I didn't know. I think if you're into like slice of life Americana nostalgia, that you'd really like this. I like this for the same reasons that I really enjoyed John Steinbeck. Like, it just feels so like a piece of Americana and a piece of nostalgia, but she's also very realistic. She's writing about the late 40s, early 50s, and she doesn't shy away from, you know, the hard bits, but there's definitely a lot of the good here as well. And I loved listening to her experience and just getting sucked into her world, into her childhood. I thought this was such a gem, a 4.5-star read. I am trying to read all of Doris Kearns Goodwin's, gosh, her name is hard, Doris Kearns Goodwin, backlist this year, so we will see if I get through some more heavy history, but this has made me very excited to continue on because I loved it. Then I finished another middle grade on audiobook, and I adored this one, and it's Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. This was such a beautiful gem of a story. It's like a truly special middle grade novel. Like, it is a special book, and I hope lots and lots of people read it. Krista over at Books and Jams said this was her favorite read from middle grade March this year, and I totally understand why. We're following our young main character, Jude, who immigrates from Syria to the United States to live with her mother's brother. She leaves behind family, and it's really looking at this tension of making a new place your home while also mourning the loss of your home. It looks at her experience, like going to school and connecting with kids and having a hard time with kids. Like, it felt like a very true school experience. I also really loved the focus on family. Jude, I'm sorry, I'm not saying her name right. It's like Jude, and her mother go to live with her mother's brother, who is a doctor and has a wife and a daughter. And Jude and her cousin, obviously, like, they share this same very rich history, but have lived 2 totally different experiences. But both of their lives are enriched by knowing each other and by having different experiences and being able to share that with the other. Like, that exploration and like what it means to be a child of an immigrant who's grown up away from your country, and what it means to be a child of an immigrant who has come from that country. Like, just that exploration was really cool. Not something that I've read a lot of that experience in books, and I really loved it. So many good things to say about this book. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I kind of ate it all up, and it is written in verse, and it just, she totally like gives you a full story in such few words. It's kind of amazing, like pretty spectacular. I loved this. I highly recommend it. It was a 5-star read for me. Next, I listened to another audiobook, a really short one. I had another really long drive, and I really enjoyed the experience of just kind of like having a whole story for my drive, so I picked a nonfiction this time, and this is 84 Charing Cross Road by Helene Hanff. which is a very beloved nonfiction. It is a short little guy. On audio, it was like barely 2 hours, and I listened to it on bumped up speed, so it was a really quick read, but I really did enjoy the audiobook experience, kind of being totally sucked into this correspondence. So 84 Charing Cross Road is about Helene and her relationship that she builds with the people who work at this used bookstore in England. Yes, in England. And it felt like such a piece of its time, a piece of nostalgia. I loved how it really just shows how our simple interactions and simple moments in our life can have such a meaningful and huge impact on our lives, but also the lives of others. I loved just seeing how these people influenced and affected one another. It was really a beautiful story. It felt very special, but also like you just saw the ordinary kindnesses of people and like the effects that can have, and it was just lovely. I did only end up giving it about 3.5 stars because it is so short, and they're talking about a lot of literature and books that kind of go over my head, but it still was a really sweet story, and I'm glad that I got to know about yeah, these people's relationships, and I was glad to be able to experience that. It felt like yeah, something very special to be let in on this relationship and these kind of just simple happenstances leading to something more. I would recommend the audio, but I would also maybe like to go back and kind of read some different letters again as well. So, and then last but certainly not least, I finished Cozy Mystery, and that is the beginning of a series which I believe is the Pervine Mystery series, the India 1920s. I'm not exactly sure what the series is titled, but the first book is called The Widows of Malabar Hill. This is by Sujata Massey. This has a lot of the hallmarks that I love in a cozy mystery. It's very atmospheric. It has a lot of talk about food in it. There's historical commentary, which I really like, but then kind of packaged in a cozy mystery. This book does the thing where you're introduced to your main detective character, Lady, and to kind of get her backstory. This story is told in flashbacks. I really like that. I like the mystery being broken up and kind of building suspense by going back and learning more about Pervine, who is our main character. I don't want to spoil too much about the mystery, but I think if you're interested in historical cozy mysteries and you would like to read from an Indian setting, namely set in Bombay, there is kind of some traveling, and so you kind of experience some different bits of India. I would highly recommend this one. It was a really solid 3.5, 4-star read. I can't wait to continue on. It will be like the kind of book that, you know, when you're just in the mood and you need kind of a cozy, atmospheric mystery, like I will have a new series to pick up, and I couldn't be more excited about it. The second book I own, it's on my shelf, and I own a physical copy. I just don't know where it is at this current moment, but I do own the second book, and I believe the third one, like we have a cover, but I don't think it's been released yet, but it's coming very soon. So I don't want to, you know, read them too fast. I kind of like to have one waiting, but I can see myself getting to the second one sometime this year as well. All right, that's everything that I read in April. I'd love to chat more. If you've read any of these books, if you have any opinions, thoughts, let's chat about it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more bookish content from me, I'd love to have you subscribe. I think that's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.